Now, I know it's September, but in today's Scrapbooking Classes Personal Shopper, we're going to look at the kit that was sent last April. And look at all the goodies inside that one.
So with this one, what was unique was that you got a stamp as well as an embossing folder.
Yes.
And so today you're going to see lots of ways that we use those in our scrapbooking classes.
So we invite you to come play with us. Now here's the newsletter for the April kit, and as all of them, they're in full color. They give you, we're going to first kind of spell out what the classes are, and then we're going to give very large photos, step-by-step instructions on how to create all 8 of the scrapbook
including
pages.
these great techniques, which are part of the classes, part of the Scrapbooking Personal Shopper.
And then there's going to be some up-close and personal kind of call-outs, and then also there'll be a card, or in this case, a something different.
Something different, and that's going to encompass something that you do with these that are included in the kit. You get this small stamp, which is a wonderful, not just one stamp, but 4 stamps in here, and it's just got this great hummingbird, and it says Capture Joy, so this beautiful little stamp, clear stamp, and then you get the swirl frame embossing folder. So when you get the kit, you get to keep these and use them in lots of different ways afterwards.
Again and again, we're very excited because this was the first time we were able to do that. Now, let me go into the papers, and remember, this was sent last April, so these had not been released to the public. And actually, one of them never was, because members get 12 times a year, they get a paper pack that nobody else except them sees.
That's
so,
right.
Specials, folks. Now, this is Mirage. It is a double-sided paper, and you know, I love doing my little dance of you can put them together.
Oh, and it works so well on these. Look at that.
You can do like this.
Be a little different.
You can go like that.
Beautiful.
And with all of our papers, what I particularly love is the depth of what's going on. Now you can kind of see some ghosted doily designs back there, and some striations going, as well as that blended color. Isn't that just lovely? Just an extra bonus. And
then pow, pop,
right.
Look at those colors.
And then we have, pay attention to this bottom one, because you're going to see that again. Now this is a double-sided set, so on the back you are getting this paper that also has those modeling going on, so you see the variety of colors behind it. We have a black that it too, as you can kind of see into it, that's what I like, is this depth. You can go into it, you can see that there's more going on. The back side of this is an all-over floral, very fun and bright. And then we have a yellow tone-on-tone with hints of green.
So you get that, it's almost a teal in there, and you can definitely see the floral print, the sort of a lacy doily effect.
Right, beautiful. And on the back side we have a tile all over, again with some scuffing going on. Isn't that gorgeous? It's a larger image of the earlier one we showed you. Very pretty. And on the back side of it is the red that's really muted back, a tone-on-tone again with the scuffing. And we have the floral, and you can see just that hint of yellow going on. And then on the back, isn't that pretty? Very fun, different one in the midst of all of these flowers. And then we have a pink with the tone-on-tone. Again, you can see some blue into it, some yellow.
So you're seeing the 6 here, but there are 12 in the set.
You get 2 of each. I'm so glad you said that. I love this. This is a quilt, and as we back up, you can see it's lighter in the center, and it has a darker border.
So it's got that natural border, but gosh, I want that on my bed, that quilt
I know,
right there.
I know. So there's 2 of each. And then there is another set, and this has been only for members, and it's kind of Moonlight Terrace is the name that it was given. And again, because you get 2 of each, doesn't that look just
that's
gorgeous?
wonderful. It's just sort of cascading across
It
there.
does.
Beautiful.
And of course, you can do like this, you can do a variety of things, but just fun to see what some of that variety
and this
looks
is
like.
the single-sided set.
It
you
is.
still get 12
See, that's not
papers.
bad
No,
either.
that's beautiful.
You're exactly right. These are single-sided, so we have this one. I'll turn it that way. We have a teal in a tone-on-tone tile. Say that 3 times fast. And we have another tile that has the variety of the colors, the pinks and the blues that are in this. And then we have a very micro dot, but really all of those colors, so very fun.
Really, they're reflected in there. I love that dark navy, but you can see all of the pinks and the light blues in there as well.
Right. And then a pink that's a tone-on-tone, again, with the scuffing and the depth. And then a floral, an all-over floral, just lovely. So Moonlight Terrace was the coin of that one.
Right. Here are the Mirage die cuts that match those Mirage papers perfectly. And you get 1 sheet of this, so you're going to get 23 die cuts just with the 1 sheet, and they pop out die cuts, just super easy to pop out. And there's lots of images of butterflies, you have labels, tags, and lots of beautiful images that match those papers, and you can computer journal or write on those tags.
And if you want to know how to do that, go on the homepage of Paper Wishes, go to under Inspiration, Scrapbooking 101, you'll see a video on how to do that.
It's kind of cool, you get an extra idea right here.
Yes, well done. Speaking of Mirage, we've included a foil paper towel, and that has just such a beautiful look. There is another piece that you can stamp, computer journal, or do something else if you like.
Right on that foil piece. There are always ribbons with the personal shopper. There are 24 inches of each of these ribbons. We have a red with a black dot. I love this big wide navy crepe. There's a swirl and a sheer, and then always something different. Here's that you don't always get anywhere else. This is wired with all of these little loopies on both sides, so it's kind of neat. You can shape that any way you want. And there's a neat little sort of almost a flat braided red or pink piece, and here's another one in there. So lots of ribbons, plus you get a card and an envelope in every personal shopper.
And there's a piece of vellum as well as a matchbook. Now this is a Sarah surface, and it comes unglued so that you can decide what you want to do to it.
And something really interesting was done to this, so be looking out for that.
Okay, now we should get into that, don't you think?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to start with this first double page layout. And when we saw the embossing folder, certainly used on cards, you know, all the time, but what about scrapbooking? And then also, if you don't have a machine, you can certainly put your paper in between the folder and just rub it, and you will also make the impression.
You can get an impression. You can also use like a rolling pin over it and put a little pressure on it to make it work. What I love about this piece is that it's super simple.
Yes.
You might not look like it, but it's very simple, and that that pattern paper, which is that beautiful bluish teal in there, was run through the embossing folder, and then it was treated on the top just by sanding. So here's that embossing folder. And what's great about these is that it's silk screened on the top, so it's easy to find. Also, it tells you that this is the side, when you put that paper in there, that's going to be the raised embossed side. So Susan took the pattern paper, like we were talking about, she placed it in there, ran it through the embossing machine, so now she's got that embossed raised edge on there, took a sanding block and just sanded the top off.
Now you can use sandpaper if you don't have a sanding block.
Right.
And just as quickly as you are doing it is what happens.
Ta-da!
Because it is going to sand off the top layer of the paper and show the white inside.
The white core. So isn't that just
Now
beautiful?
you might think that, gosh, is the paper going to be strong enough to withhold that? Well, it's an 80-pound paper, and it is. You don't have to leave it sitting in the embossing folder.
It's not torn or anything.
Right.
It's working just. And what's kind of neat is the opposite. You see that debossed side is pretty cool too. So use both sides of your papers. Anyway, there you go.
And I thought it was just perfect to hold some journaling. So it was first embossed on the blue, as you said. You can emboss it on the yellow and save that for later, not too much later.
Cut out the center and then foam tape on top of it.
Right.
Then it was cut out close to the detail work and matted on black cardstock.
And these are some of the giant die cuts and the smaller die cuts that are included.
Right.
And as you said, that special ribbon, just letting it have kind of a star quality as it goes at the bottom of the photo.
And here's what I love about the paper. So you look at the bottom of this page, and it's all done for you. The focal is just there in that paper that says everything you need to say.
All that embellishing is done for you.
Yeah.
Now the companion page of this has a variety of photos, as you can see. And let's get in close and we can see more that was done. To begin with, that embossing folder, you're going to show how that, what area was used?
So here's the part that you're seeing, just part of the embossing folder there. So you cut a paper that is to the dimensions that are given in the newsletter, and then you take the bottom half. It's been done, but I'm going to show you how that was done. You take the bottom of it and you set it right on the top, and I made a mark. It was about 1 5/8 inches up. I made a little pencil mark there so I'd know that that's where I want the edge of the embossing folder to fit, and sort of centered it. I centered that paper right on there, closed it, and that's how I ran it through the embossing machine, just like that. So it would only emboss the end of that, and then Susan just cut it off right along, right below that little row of dots.
And matted it on black cardstock and added another little foam tape die cut. Now over here, there's a translucent quality. I think we need to get in a little bit closer just so we can see that.
That is the vellum.
That's exactly right. The vellum was done and pushed through.
Right.
And
painted. I'll show you. So in order to, now that is something that's thin enough that you might worry a little bit about the vellum actually being torn through with that raised embossing. So Susan put scrap paper on both sides of the vellum. There's the vellum inside, and that's when she ran it through the embossing folder. And then when you take it out, you peel that scrap paper off, and you have this embossed piece of vellum. So it wasn't pushed in, around so much that it tore all over. It made a beautiful, and that's just gorgeous.
I mean, look at
itself.
that, right, just as it is. It's just quite stunning.
So that's just beautiful. But just for an added little zing, she got out the distress paint, broken china, shake that up, and she says, first use scrap paper to get that paint going. Look, I'm ruining that beautiful scrap paper.
I hate to have you do that.
Well, maybe later we'll paint the whole inside. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I would feel better. Look at that. And then she went over just the raised portions, just with a very light touch, she said, over the raised portions of that embossed piece. And you can see it just picking up just that little bit of blue. There.
Now it's going to look more dramatic, when you get it.
There you go. So you can really see that.
And that's what's happened.
Very simple. Then just let it dry.
Isn't that pretty? And that's what's happened here is that she's, again, cut along the edge and added a die cut over in the corner. And look at this. This is fun to do the 3 photos in a photo, kind of like a photo strip, but leaving some matting showing between them. So very lovely.
And the colors of that paper lend very nicely to that. There are lots of contrasting colors. It's just beautiful. I love the ribbon right there, that black dot.
Very, very striking. Now, let's go into another layout.
Wow.
And this was a surprise to me because with the embossing folder, it does make a bracket just by the very nature of it.
Sure, that you can cut out. So there's the embossing folder, and here's this piece. So once I'm going to pull one out here. Once you have embossed it, then you can just cut out on the right and left sides of those dots, and you'll have that bracket there.
And you'll have the bracket, which I think is just so very clever. Now here is the paper toll, and instead of computer journaling on it, she decided to do what her title is, Little Old Me, on 2 pieces of paper and let them go off the edge of that tag. And I thought that was a really nice way.
That is really cute. And plus you're seeing little bits of that embossing folder peeking out. It has been embossed on paper. That's on the yellow paper.
And down here is the rest of it, and it too has been inked if you want to do that. That's another option. And just the top part of it. And there's my beautiful, that sheet that I love so much being used. And this is some of the paper tulle also. Just going between the photos, overlapping, although they're flat.
Right.
And just, you don't have to use them in the sequence that they are on the sheet.
So I think in this piece over here, you're seeing some of it stacked, but then maybe the flower that would have been stacked right there was actually used over here. Oh, there's 2 of them, so probably this one and that one.
Right.
Split it up and make it go a little further.
So you can do it that way. So let's look at this double page spread side by side, and you can see how fun it is with the 2 larger photos and these very straight, but then one kind of knocked off, and that's where she's really playing. There's that other bracket. Just love that.
It is beautiful. What you're seeing down here at the bottom, this particular one, we looked at it, but you don't really know what it is until we tell you what that is. That's done with toilet paper.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Toilet paper. Okay.
Toilet paper ran through the embossing machine, and I want to show you.
Which we did not supply, I should have to tell you.
You need to get your own toilet paper. I have some here. In the instructions for this, it does say to use single ply, and what I have here is double ply, so I'm going to use half the amount suggested since I'm using double ply. So it said 8 sheets of single ply, but what I've done is stacked up 4 double side-by-side sheets of double ply.
Right. Now, a couple of things to note is that this has a perforation here. Don't worry about that.
Right.
This has also got an embossed design. Don't worry about that. It's perfectly fine. We're going to be able to use it anyway.
Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to first set down a craft sheet because Glimmer Mist was also used on this. You can do this, you can spray this with a little bit of water and then emboss it, but in this case we're going to use Glimmer Mist to replace the water.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I thought it was always water.
No, well this is watery, so it'll work.
Sure.
You're going to spray it just a little bit. There we go, so you can see that puckering up right away. You get that into your embossing folder.
Like so.
Folder. There we go. And I've got the embossing machine here. I've got my 2 plates. I'm going to set that in there and pull that back a little bit. And then you just run it through just like that. Ta-da! There we go. If you want to open that up, I'll get this out of the way.
Okay, just open it like so, and look what we have. It is deeply embossed. We got a little striation there with the Glimmer Mist.
Right. So you could actually do a little bit more Glimmer Mist if you. But you notice how it flattened out anything that puckered up right there. And you can, when you feel it, it doesn't really feel like toilet paper there anymore. It feels a little bit like glossy paper.
It does. It feels smooth and satiny.
So it's pressed it all together, and then if you want, you can even like tear the edges off. Get a really neat look that way. But the other thing that Amy did with this is that she took a distress ink, and this is the Wild Honey, and she just sponged on a little bit. We were talking about inking the top of those embossed areas, and that's what she did just to get a little bit more of that gold.
So here's what's true about scrapbooking classes is that in this case, you got the embossing folder, you got vellum, you got all the papers. We gave you the hint of using toilet paper. Now you could use the toilet paper, you could use cardstock. If you just wanted to use yellow cardstock, that's perfectly fine. But we want to take you outside the box also and give you even more ideas. So you can follow them, you cannot, but they're good techniques to have kind of in your technique toolkit.
Right, and that's what the classes are all about.
Right. I thought this was really fun. I've not seen journaling done like this before. And just very, very fun. Some personal anecdotes. Love the color green.
Playful. It goes along with the playful photos, so that's something to think about. You're sort of thinking of a theme. You want it to be playful. Add something unexpected.
Chocolate is my best friend. I'm 5'2", but have feet that are 9.5. So very, very fun, and just again a lot of techniques that are I've never seen before, so that's always wonderful.
Right.
Now we're going to go into our second set, the Moonlight Terrace, and Lene, I think, has done our first one. You got room for that? Okay. She has done something quite extraordinary here. Well, a couple of things. First of all, the technique of, we saw this in the Homeward Bound layout, of finding an area and cutting along the edge, slipping your matted photos underneath. Right. And doesn't that just work very nicely for all of these? It is beautiful.
It frames the photos for you by doing that. But there's also this large circle in the background, which is just a beautiful backdrop for those photos. And it's easy to get that large circle if you use an Easy Circles template.
Yes. Now, if you don't have a plate that's the right size, the Easy Circles template is another good alternate, especially for a large one like this. So that's what that looks like.
What's beautiful to me, the striking part is this part, which is straight out of the front. Here's the front of that embossing folder, so you can see that makes a natural label. So it was actually cut, it was embossed on cardstock, so you've got that whole piece. It looks like this. And she was able to just cut out the piece that she wanted. She also chalked that, which is a really simple thing to do if you've got a basic chalk set, or in this case, there were pearlescent chalks, and they've come with this nice little alligator clip, and I think she used blue, so I'll grab one of the little palms there and get some of the blue, and you can lightly go over those embossed areas.
Now, we do make the assumption that members have some basic craft supplies. So chalks is something along there, some cardstock, maybe an ink pad. So, you know, that's what's done.
That's going on the raised embossed areas there, but I noticed she went in on the inside of that label. So you can sort of ink the whole, or excuse me, chalk the whole edge of the label like that, and then you get that nice little shading effect all around the edge of your label. Super simple.
The other thing that was done is look at this vellum piece. You have that big 6x12 sheet of vellum. So doesn't that create just a really nice frame around that photo? Then here is our dragonfly.
But hummingbird,
sorry.
No, I totally get it. The big, beautiful wings.
Yes, the wings were done on vellum so it was stamped on vellum. It was also stamped on paper. The two pieces were put together.
Right, they were chalked, both of them, and just a little bit of gold stickles was added to the tail of that hummingbird. Just gives it a little sparkle.
And stickles kind of looks like that.
They're fun in all kinds of places.
Some stamping along that wide crepe ribbon.
It's been stamped and embossed with an embossing powder. So when you do that, you want to hold your heat gun quite a ways away from that. Take your time. You don't want to buckle the ribbon.
And there's more stickles added into our flower centers that are just part of the paper. So that's one. Here is the companion page done on the other border paper, and notice how they're placed. Same idea with the circle, but look what's been done with our embossing folder.
So we've got to go back to the two side by side, so that we can see that if you use an X-Acto knife and carefully cut out the center of that, then that's the piece you can use over here.
And you chop once.
Right, only do it once. And then add some gold stickles on there, and it's just beautiful. Just on the little dots, some gold stickles were added.
There you go. You can really see those. Very sweet on her photo. I love the three hummingbirds just kind of stair-stepping their way across the page.
Very
just
sweet.
Beautifully done.
Those vellum wings, they're
vellum.
great. You could sort of roll them up and bend them up and really have them flying off the page.
Very nice. Now, our last page, double page spread, is going to take us to an Easter brunch. And it too is using our stamp and our embossing folder. And look how clever those corners are using the embossing folder.
Just using parts of that embossing folder. And I have a one that was done here. It's sort of in a different color. I didn't know I was so different with the color. But if you take a black StazOn and a sponge, it's like a cosmetic sponge, then just get a little of that on there, and then just lightly go over the edges, and you can get over the embossed areas, you can get that to stand out, like we showed.
Very much like the chalk,
right?
isn't it?
Right, the chalk. But once you do that, there's a little extra step that was done. Now, in some of our personal shopper kits, or in one in particular, there were 2 Spectrum Noir pens that were given in the kit. So this is one that was used from one of those kits, so you would already have it if you had that. If you had that particular kit. This is a blue, and you just go ahead and color over some of those little embossed areas. So you can
just add a little bit of...
Add a little zing on there.
Okay.
Very simple. I don't know where else she put it. Here we go.
Cute. There you go. And then those corners were just cut off and used on the corners of the page rather than a photo, although you could do a photo.
Right.
Now our hummingbird is coming back, this time brightly colored, as you can see. And the embossing folder, again, doing that same inking as you did on the corners.
So just cut out the center of that label and then use it that way.
Use everything. Oh. Now, this is the Matchbox, and this time it was, one suggestion is to use it on your page. And this has recipes. So here's a little file tab. And then as I open it up, there's one there. There's one here.
What a cute idea.
And photos, and one right there.
What a great way to use that folder.
Isn't that cute?
To full extent. I mean,
right. Now, if you had this in a sheet protector, what you might want to do is to actually cut away this part of the sheet protector so that this is resting on top. That way people can interact with those and get all those delicious recipes.
That's a really neat idea. These were, again, the hummingbird was stamped on 2 different papers, which actually, if you can sort of see under the wings, they were stamped on this paper here, I think, and then colored with the pen down at the bottom on that white, and then the pink was stamped on pink and just cut out and set on top of it.
And foam taped on top to give a little dimension. Now the companion page is very similar. It has the same corner treatment, but instead the focal of it, letting all of those kind of snapshots of the Easter brunch, here we have this in the center, and as you know, this is the center of the embossing folder, and there's our little hummingbird again.
Which you do have to cut out. That doesn't come cut out for you. You cut that out, but this was stamped right onto that cardstock.
Right, and then the other piece. Now, the card, if you elect not to use the Matchbox on your page, here it is as a card, and it's a happy birthday card.
And it's done in a unique way in that just the front of that folder was embossed. So to do that, you want to open it up, you want to center it in your embossing folder, get it on the center, close that up, and that's how you're going to run it through your machine, just like that. When you're done, you've just got that beautiful embossed edge on the front. Get out like a nice blue fluid chalk ink, which I'm not going to, you know what it looks like, to sponge all over to make that just a beautiful blue.
And to add some of the foil paper toll, the Majestic Mirage on it. And then we've got a little piece of art there.
That's a tag, one of the die cuts that has been computer journaled on.
And then inside, best wishes. So we've done some covered it with some paper. And then on the inside, may all your wishes come true with some of the foil paper toll.
So that's a pretty simple treatment,
couple of
and it's so
options,
pretty.
yes.
Yeah, options you can use
Very
with that
nice
folder.
To know. So that is our April personal shopper. And for this webisode, not only is there a special price on it, but there's also a bonus, which is the 3-pack of the Pink Tiny Flower Dazzles. And this has hundreds of dazzles with it.
So. And you've got that jewel finish, the mirror finish. They're just beautiful. They're very fun to work with and stack.
Right. So we do have these. And I do need to say, because we haven't said it before, but there are limited quantities of these kits made up. However, if you want to join the Scrapbooking Classes Personal Shopper,
we'll get them every month.
Show you how to do that.
Before everybody else gets them, too.
Absolutely.
Okay, but we have more.
We have more. Just want to give you a peek into a previous month, and this is December of 2013, which is actually when we started the scrapbooking classes, and we called it New and Improved. And this one is focusing on Obviously the papers, now this is going back to December, so it's several months ago, and it has the chalkboard, the first one, not the Christmas chalkboard, but the chalkboard, and the Robin's Red paper pack.
So it's another double-sided paper pack, which is not in every one of the personal shopper kits.
In fact, both of them are.
And it's got these great elements for classes here.
Right, and the focus of this one was on dazzles. So members received the chalkboard sayings dazzles, and I have to say, we have been out of stock of these for several months.
Really?
So I'm happy that we have some for these kits. And then the other dazzles were unique designs. Here is silver pearl flowers, which are not available, the silver butterflies, and the red flowers along with the light green. And this combination is not available either.
Not available elsewhere, but it is within this kit.
Right.
Yay.
Then members also got some die cut pieces, and this was from our lacy oval, so they've got
lacy labels.
Lacy labels, thank you.
Lacy labels, cutting die. So you can actually get the cutting die and do these on your own, or get these within the kit.
Right. So those, and we don't put the cutting dies in the kits because cutting dies, unlike the embossing folders, kind of tricky. You can't really do that. We've not found a way to do it without a machine, and we don't want to assume that members have a $300 machine.
So you get the actual die cuts.
Right. So those plus the papers plus a whole bevy of ribbons, just a whole treatment of them, as you can see. In addition to
there's an acetate in this kit, and so we show you fun ways of using that acetate.
But just wanted to show you a couple of ideas. I'm not showing you everything, but you can see how that dazzle was placed on the acetate, colored behind it, and isn't that just super striking?
And that's with Spectrum Noir pens, just two pens, a blue and a red.
Right.
That's all you need.
And those pens were in. They were a previous kit.
A previous kit, yeah.
So there
sometimes
you go.
get them in previous kits, and then you get to continue to use them later on.
And you can see how those are layered and beautifully done.
This is great. I love layering those little flowers here with some of the die cuts.
And even something like this, to do some coloring and add that. Here's the companion page with the paper toll. Some computer journaling, which we talked about. And here are the dazzles, and as we get in really close, these were had glue applied and then some of the micro glitter. Let me lift this up again. I just really want you to see that sparkle because it's so nice.
And it's such a simple thing to do, just a little bit of a glue stick on there and stick it on. And the other thing that can be done is to turn over those dazzles and use the adhesive back side to sprinkle glitter on, and then you can just glue them on to your page.
You just can't do it if it's words. You can do it if it's swirly things. Now the companion page, we're going to bring this in, has a different look, and I just so appreciate that. You know, oftentimes they're just duplicates of each other, but I love it when they're different. And I also love the use of this paper because it's got all of those chalkboard sayings on it, and to put that as a large banner is perfect.
Banner, that's just beautiful over those other papers that are inked. The edges are inked so you can see them stand out a little bit. And here's one of those die cuts that was used to frame that adorable little girl.
And I think we all have photos like that of the little one looking out the window. Very sweet. Days like this make me smile.
So they're beautiful dazzles, and it's just such a nice treatment. It's great with these dazzles, they're just filled with words, so you can do all of your journaling just with the dazzles or with the paper.
And in the months since December, we have lost a double page spread. So John, I want to get in really close to the newsletter because this is quite stunning. The dazzles, these chalkboard dazzles, were inked, and get in even closer if we can, just a bit with the stays, or with the surfaces.
Surfaces inks, just in a couple of different colors to get sort of a pastel effect. And it worked just beautifully on those white dazzles, and then you can just sort of use them all over the spread, and it's just
these two are put on the die cuts that are included, and very fun to have them streaming down with ribbon.
So a lot of fun, and with those papers it makes it easy. So they're great corner dazzles, corner treatments. I had fun with this because I liked making this long strip but having that last photo be on the other page, and it's really fun to combine black and white photos with color photos.
Very fun. So lots of techniques in these classes. That's what we have for today. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
See you then.